Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. 6:34 a.m. Sunday, July the 20th, with the big blue mug of coffee. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I sincerely mean that. And today I would like to have a heartfelt talk with you, a sincere talk with you, regarding yesterday's video. Got a lot of comments on that video. It was called The Long Ballot. I love it. It's just what we needed, and I had a thumbnail with me giving a thumbs up saying I endorse the long ballot. And of course, I'm talking about the riding where Pierre Poilievre is running in Battle River Crowfoot. And boy, a lot of people didn't like what I had to say. I'm sure there are people who have been coming to this channel for months who are not here today. I used to watch every video. I'm not watching you anymore. Now, I think some of those people didn't get my point. But I think a lot of people didn't watch my video to the end. And some people, there was one comment that came in, which I'm going to go through some of the comments in just a moment. You had some great points that I'd like to address. I don't take any of what I said back yesterday, none of it. I stand by my video. There was one point that came in that hurt me on a personal level. I'm going to address that in just a moment, okay? But I don't think everybody watched the video to the end. I was accused of a lot of things yesterday. Some people accused me of being a liberal. That probably cuts the most, but it's the most inaccurate thing people said about me. Okay, I'm not a liberal. But I don't think everybody watched the video to the end, where I said this. And I think we can just hold up this long list, which is probably going to be 10 feet long, and say, look, how stupid this country is that it can allow this kind of thing to happen. I think it's evident that I think this is all a joke. That came pretty close to the end of the video. So if you didn't watch all the way to the end, you might not have got my point. And some people did watch to the end and didn't get my point. I pointed out a number of things that are an absolute joke. Just a few. Mark Carney comes back after 10 years of not being in the country. He's the prime minister. That's a joke. And you all thought it was a joke as well. What I think is happening here, and you need to understand, I'm going to get to the comments in a moment. You need to understand, I know where you're coming from when it comes to Pierre Poilievre. I supported Pierre Poilievre. I wanted him to win. I've said here, he may be the best prime minister Canada never has. Okay? And I think you feel hurt that he was hurt. He couldn't even win in his own riding. Right? And I understand that. I do. I met Pierre Poilievre a long time ago. I was introduced to him as a future prime minister. That was in 2007, 2008. Okay? So I understand where you're coming from. So let's look at some of these comments. Over here to Kate Carter, 7623. If you'd done any research, you would know that Pierre has been in Battle River Crowfoot, campaigning both with and without Damien Keurig. Your opinion is weakened by your lack of due diligence. I did the video yesterday and I looked at it and went, I could have been more clear. He has not been in that riding prior to Damien Keurig sitting down. He may have been there as the leader of the Conservative Party, but he is not somebody closely connected with the riding he's running in. I don't think that's right. And I think a lot of you think the same thing. Now you're going to go back, I think Pierre should be able to run in this riding. What did you think when Mark Carney got parachuted into Nepean? I'm sure you were online going, the guy has no relationship with Nepean. That's wrong. You probably said that during the election campaign. Did you not? Think about it. Mark Carney has no relationship with Nepean. He hasn't been in the country for 10 or 12 years. So now be consistent here. I think that's wrong. I always wondered how that could possibly happen. How can you go run in a riding that you have no connection with? I think that's wrong. And I stand by my point yesterday. Now I want to move on to this right here. And a lot of people said this. And the hurtful comment is coming up right after this. Me and my husband are old eyes and are not what they used to be. I know where you're coming from. I'm getting there. To that election, we'd have to bring our best glasses and a ruler to make sure we could cross to the right spot. Lots of people could make a mistake. I'm sure they know that. It's possible they do know that, and I never thought of this. I'm sure that's a situation. It is a nuisance, and I said that in the video. Yes, this is a nuisance, and that's what this is all about. If the people who are doing this longest ballot thing are doing that on purpose to hurt people who have poor eyesight, they're bad people. A lot of people made this point. The first guy I just talked about, the first comment, made the same point. And then I got this. I watched this channel before and even liked it. However, now hearing John refer to seniors and visually impaired people as complete idiots is pretty cruel. I did not do that. I did not do that. I commented on this. I don't believe I did that, but if you got that impression, I do apologize, and I apologize. Thanks for watching. But I didn't do that. I would never do that. Never. I appreciate your comment. A lot of people mentioned this issue. It's a joke, folks. This is an absolute travesty. And that was my point of my video yesterday. John, you have a lot of problems. A lot of people said this. I don't have a lot of problems. Personally, I don't let things bother me all that much. I don't have a lot of problems, but people thought I had a lot of problems. Moving on. I'm pissed. Yeah, I'm pissed. I voted for Damien, and now the only vote I want to make is for the referendum to be free from Canada. I'm with you, Dan Dallin 3532. The only reason I will likely vote for Pierre is to block the left for as long as we are still part of Canada. Good. Vote for Pierre. I want him to win. You need to understand that. John, all this political stuff is taking a toll on you. Take some time off, kick back, enjoy some great craft beers, and turn off the screens. You maybe don't realize how bitter you're becoming. Just saying. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. You need to understand, I've said this before on this channel, I don't do this all day. I don't have the temperament for it. I used to. I was a radio broadcaster for years. I worked at a radio station where I talked a lot of politics. And honest to God, at the end, I'm getting older. I could not stand talking to people on the left. That frustrated me so much. So I walked away. And I walk away from the screens after this. I didn't look at the comments from yesterday's video until this morning because I was doing other stuff. Now, I don't drink. I'd sit down and have a mocktail with you. But thank you for the comment. I appreciate that. Okay, I was a subscriber to your channel, John, but after watching this episode full of liberal bias, agreeing with this mockery, and your obvious dislike of Pierre, I'm done. I don't dislike Pierre. I like him very much. I want him to win. I wanted him to be prime minister. I went out and covered when he came here to Calgary up at the airport. It was great. I wanted him to win. I think he'll win in Battle River Crowfoot, but I'm not a liberal. That was the second worst thing you could say to me yesterday. The other one was accusing me of calling seniors and people who are visually impaired idiots, which I would never do. Wow, I've liked and subscribed to you a long time and listen every day, but this one, I only have 2 1970s words. Bite me. Sorry you feel that way, Alana Pierre. I don't think you watched to the end or didn't get it. All listed candidates should have to put up a non-refundable $100,000 to be on the voter list. So what I commented on this, a lot of people said this, that there should be a fee. I get it. I think it would make it impossible for the average person to run in elections. I wouldn't want that. Thanks for watching. So I think we're on a slippery slope here. Other people said, well, make it a fee so people have to pay maybe $1,000 and you might not have as many people on this long ballot. And that's probably true as well. But the thing that I was thinking was leftists are going to mess around, and there's always some advocacy group or some group that hates Pierre Poilievre that's willing to foot the bill for these people to run in this election. So I don't think it's a good idea to make a huge fee to run in politics. You'll remember during the Liberal leadership campaign, the fee was $350,000. And that's a lot of money. But of course, they had backers that paid that for them. I don't think Chrystia Freeland or Mark Carney paid out of their own pocket for that. They probably had groups that put the money up for them. But I think the average person should be able to run for politics in this country, and it shouldn't be such a high fee that they can't do that. Let's go back here. Carney did the same thing to get a seat, but worse, he just took it. Damien voluntarily surrendered it because of how strongly he believes in Poilievre and loves his country. Yes, Mark Carney did the same thing. He parachuted into Nepean. He won his seat. No relationship with the riding. I think that's wrong. I think that needs to be changed. That's just the way I feel. John, your dislike of the federal conservatives has jaundiced your view. The long ballot is a disgrace. There are ways in which Elections Canada could revise elections. There are very many failures made by Elections Canada and need to be investigated. I agree. I do not have a dislike of the federal Conservatives. Let me put it to you this way. Do I dislike the federal Conservatives? No. I have voted Conservative in every election since I've turned 18. And I voted in every election. And I just turned 60. The only election I didn't vote Conservative was in 1993 when the Conservatives won 2 seats. Kim Campbell was the prime minister at that point. Nobody voted Conservative. I didn't even vote Liberal. I voted for the National Party. I spoiled my vote. I don't have a dislike of the federal Conservatives, but I do have a dislike of the federal government. I don't dislike Canada. You need to understand that. I have a dislike of the federal government. That's why I want Alberta independence. So right here, I said at the bottom, I have no dislike for the federal Conservatives. I voted for Tom Kimmick in Calgary Shepherd. I have voted Conservative since I could vote. So I pointed that out. And then we'll move along to this last one. You're nuts, Bolton. Get with it. Even if the Conservatives won the next election, I would still be pushing for separation. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta. So cheering on non-meaningful candidates does nothing for your democracy. Okay, so yeah, I'm with you. I want independence. Now, near the end of the video yesterday, I just picked some random guy that was on that list and said I was endorsing him. It was a joke. This guy's got no chance of winning. And of course, I went down the road. He's not far from the place that rules over your lives. The place that never gives Alberta and the West a fair shake, Ottawa. But I wasn't endorsing this guy. I was making a joke of it because I could have picked anybody on this list. I happened to pick this guy from Callander, Ontario. I highly endorse Pierre Poilievre in Battle River Crowfoot. Let me just put that on record. I want to see him win. I want to see him win. I want to see him in the House of Commons in question period. He's the best there is at that. And you know what? I said he may be the greatest prime minister that Canada never has. It will be one of the greatest comebacks if he should be prime minister in the future. I pointed out during the election campaign the mistakes he made, and he made a lot of them. But I was a big supporter of Pierre Poilievre. I think he's great, but I don't care who's in Ottawa. I don't care if it's Liberal or Conservative. I still want Alberta independence. That's my main goal. That's what I want the most. I appreciate watching. I do. If you left the channel and happened to see this at the end, thanks for coming back. If you left the channel and you're not hearing this, oh well, I don't live and die by the number of subscribers I have on this channel. I ask people to subscribe. I appreciate that. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. And I'm sure along the way, we're going to have disagreements about things here. I don't agree with a lot of conservatives on a lot of things, but I try to do something different here. And that's what I tried to do yesterday. By endorsing the long ballot, I was mocking the whole system. And I think a lot of people missed my point, or again, just didn't watch to the end. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week. I'll see you in the next one.